culinary professional Takeya Meggett is returning to herself and her Gullah roots do her cooking. Today, I talk one-on-one with Takeya for this edition of Quintin's Close-Ups. And if you haven't already, subscribe to my YouTube channel and like Quintin's Close-Ups on Facebook. Takeya Meggett, welcome to Quintin's Close-Ups.
Good morning. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. Good to have you here on this Thursday morning. I know that you are a culinary professional, an agrarian, and a wondrous. So, who else is Takeya Meggett these days?
Well, I'm also a mom too. I have a 4-year-old who'll be 5 soon, so that's like number one job, and I love it a lot. But yeah, I cook. Like tending the soil in the land and store it in the land, and I like just follow my curiosity and prioritizing my curiosity. So that's the wondrous part about myself.
What are you curious about these days when it comes to food?
I'm sorry?
What are you curious about when it comes to food these days?
More recently I've been really curious about cooking with like scraps, so veggie scraps. So just becoming more sustainable in the kitchen. I do already do some things like, growing up, grandma didn't get rid of old bananas. You got turned into banana bread and things like that. But I just know that now there's just so much more to do. So I've been like accumulating cookbooks and getting some inspiration there.
What cookbook has inspired you thus far?
I would have to say it would be Emily Meggett, my own cousin. Gullah Geechee cooking, without a doubt. Rest her soul. She's gone with us now, but she's still here, and yeah, her cookbook it's on my altar, because it's so I have 2 copies too, because I have to just make sure forever. But yeah, her book, because it just gave me some insight on my own family and family history and heritage as it relates to Gullah Geechee culture. So that's the book. Yeah.
What is the state of the Gullah Geechee culture through food?
Can you repeat that?
Yeah, what is the state of the Gullah Geechee culture when you look at it from a food standpoint?
I don't. Well, as far as state, it's relevant. Let's say that. It's absolutely relevant. I do think that, and I'm just only looking on from the outside in my own experiences. I do see a lot more like of the people here just wanting to be cultural bearers, like BJ Dennis. He's kind of like taking the lead on that, which is awesome. He's a great mentor. And so I think just acknowledging that we're here and our food is here, and that, our food is a part of the American cuisine. It is American cuisine. And so that's the state is that we're growing, we're acknowledging, and we still here. We've been here, we're still here as far as really.
Yeah, absolutely. And as far as growing, where do you want to continue to grow the Gullah cuisine in your mind?
Edisto Island. I mean, that is the goal at some point. I'm 38. I'm young. Edisto Island.
That's my age too.
Yes. I was on Edisto for a few years, and I recently relocated outside of Charleston, and so when I'm older, it's an older demographic there, and so it's not much really going on. But I do wish to have a restaurant on Edisto Island, and to acquire most of my food either from Edisto or like John's Island. I've been working with Fields Farm on John's Island, and so awesome family, awesome land, and so preparing farm to table meals and providing like culinary education experiences for folks. So on the island.
On the island, absolutely. So what are those farm to table experiences that are ideal for you and your cuisine?
What do you mean by ideal?
Yeah, what's ideal when it comes to those farm to table experiences? What is the biggest difference from when you started with this to right now when it comes to those farm to table experiences?
Oh, well, I mean, this is my first time really doing this. As it relates to like cooking on the farm and serving people a meal that was prepared from food that they harvested, making a whole experience. And they're also a part of the experience. So they're cutting and chopping and alongside with me. So I don't know what you mean by ideal, but I mean, what's ideally what I'm doing right now is what I want to do and where I'm going. Like just community building through food on farms, providing folks with farm to table meals, and reconnecting them, in some cases connecting them to the land, into nature, into the environment.
Well, let me ask another way. What are those
Yeah.
ideal from farm to table, items that you actually like personally?
Oh, you mean like the experience itself? I
Yes,
think
ma'am.
honestly, yeah. Okay, so I mean, honestly, from start to finish, it's amazing. I really do enjoy the process, from just planning it, prepping, and buying all the groceries and stuff. It does get a little bit chaotic in that space, but I'll do my little 1, 2, 3 breaths, and then I'll get back on track. But I think the best part is collaborating with other people. That's the most ideal when to take it back there, is being with other land stewards, in different capacities, but still land stewards, and working with them to provide an experience to connect even more people, and build the tribe of land stewards, and advocates for where we live, our land, our environment, yeah, our people, all people. So yeah.
Right. Absolutely, absolutely. And I want to get back to that in just a second. But let me ask you this, Mr. Kia. How are you returning to yourself and your Gullah roots? Do food?
It starts honestly with me growing. So when I got to Edisto Island back in 2020, I didn't really have much. I mean, I'm from Jersey City, New Jersey. So I grew up in a city, and I didn't have any land up there. And so I mostly, volunteered at community gardens, had my little pots on the steps and stuff, on the stoop. But on Edisto, I was able to like have a full-fledged garden. And so I was really able to like use that space as an incubator to reconnect with the land deeply. I mean, I was already like, tree hugger, but it just being on Edisto Island made it way more special, because that's just where my ancestors are, it's where my family began, in this country. And so, yeah, I'm finding myself and returning back to myself, back to my roots as it relates to cooking, because I had always wanted to be a chef. I was in a culinary program in high school. I got a full scholarship to Johnson and Wales. I denied it and wound up staying in Jersey. So this is like a whole return back to what I previously had always wanted to be, which was a chef, both cooking and baking and pastry. So, yeah, Edisto Island really put me in my place, coming from a big city and then being on a little island. It really sat me down and allowed me to really sift through a lot of things. A lot of healing, a lot of work happened. And so, yeah, that's how I'm returning to myself. And then obviously my Gullah roots through growing food on Edisto Island. You can't get more Gullah than that. Like, I'm on my ancestral American, homeland. Yeah. And cooking it and preparing those traditional meals. So before, Emily Meggett passed on just recently, she when I got down there, I didn't know anyone. So I was like introducing myself to relatives I had never met before. And she was so gracious to like let me come in her house and teach me how to prepare, red rice and okra gumbo. And so yeah, that's how I've been reconnecting with my Gullah heritage, as well as like, partnering, excuse me, and working with like BJ. I'm sure you see me online, like hanging with BJ Dennis, Chef BJ. Yeah, so, and other chefs, local chefs as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how I'm returning back to my Gullah roots.
Yes, indeed. Absolutely. That's just so amazing. What else has Edisto Island done for you personally?
It has, again, it's allowed me to sit still. Again, I grew up in the tri-state. My family, my mom's side of the family, her maternal side rather, is from the islands, and they ended up in the city. So that's all I knew. And I didn't realize I was going like 1,000 miles per hour until I got to Edisto. And so the best thing Edisto did for me was sit me still and allowed me to, again, sift through all the things that have been just, under the surface, So lots of things happened there, grieving and just a lot of healing work and spiritual work. So yeah, Edisto, the best thing it did for me, my grandfather coming to me in that dream and telling me to call his sister, and his sister told me to call her niece, and now I'm on Edisto Island. So it's just really wild how it all happened. I didn't plan to live on Edisto Island, but yeah, it was part of the plan, obviously.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And Mr. Kia, let me ask you, when it comes to the culinary world, How are you refocusing and increasing your style and service with those gala roots?
I think primarily it's just me. The first thing I want to do, and I
Yes,
think
ma'am.
the first thing I should do is honestly connect to the land. And so, like, yeah, I can, cook these meals and stuff, and I can, have a pop up, and serve gullah food or whatever. But I don't want to do that. Also, I want to be of service. It's in my blood to just to be of service. So the things that I do connects also to my service work, and that will be unfolding in the near future. Um, bring me back to the question. I only
Oh,
just
no worries, no worries. I was simply asking, how do you refocus and actually increase your style and service with your gala roots?
There you go. Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
And so, in addition to that, like I said, connecting to the land, growing the food, and working with other local chefs who've just been here, and just being a student, a pupil. Like, yeah, I've been cooking for a long time. Even though I didn't go to culinary school, I never stopped cooking, and I do know a lot, but I don't
Right.
know everything. So, this is all. This is a homecoming for me in many ways. Even
Yes.
through the cooking, it's a homecoming. So taking it step by step, very slowly. I'm only been here for 2.5 years, so I have a lifetime to go.
Yes, indeed. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Which local chef resembles you as a chef?
Oh wow, I would not. I don't even know enough. And honestly, I would have to say no one because we're all different. No one's better. We're just different. Everyone has their own style, but all the
Right.
food is good. So I don't necessarily like compare myself to anyone else. I don't actually do that. I'm inspired by other people, or I'm not. I don't have to be inspired. It doesn't make me a hater. I just don't like what I like. What I don't like, and but mostly just I appreciate everyone's like their effort and their hard work, and I'm truly, honestly, I've only been inspired by the chefs and cooks down here. It's amazing to be
Yes,
on
ma'am.
the sideline, and even in the arena. I've been in the arena a few times. Shout
Right.
out.
Right. Right. Yes, ma'am. We're having a little technical difficulties right here with the technology. But let me ask you, what was your favorite food growing up that you really don't cook today?
Oh man, probably struggle meals. That's really about it. I haven't had a struggle meal in a long time.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah, and even like struggle meals. I mean, we ate those growing up.
Yes.
I ate well growing up. I did. I ain't even gonna lie. I ate well. We grew up poor, but I still ate well. Like my mama stopped at the farmers market. I ate fresh vegetables all the time. Even though we didn't grow anything. So, um, honestly, when I grew up in a really diverse city, I ate everybody's food, Asian, Korean, everybody, like Indian, which is
Yeah.
still kind of Asian. Yeah, so even Hispanic food,
Sure.
Mediterranean, I've eaten everybody's stuff. So my style of cooking is really like a gumbo of all of the
Yes.
cultures and all of the um food experiences I've had over my 38 years of living.
Yeah. And what is the biggest difference about your style of cooking from when you started to right now?
From then to now.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
um, oh well, I would have to say that I'm more interested in plant forward meals.
I remember you
So
telling me that.
again, not plant based. I'm not a
Right.
vegan. I'm not a vegetarian.
Right.
But I will eat anything if it tastes good. You know what I mean? Like if
Yes,
it's
ma'am.
sustainably sourced as best it could be, and it ain't inhumanely whatever killed. Like I'll eat it. But I would have to say, like when I had a hashtag on Instagram called the side note Kia's Kitchen. I've
Right.
deleted it since deleted it. And this was like maybe 10 years ago, and I would post all of my food pictures, and I got really, really just I didn't feel like it was worthy. I was worthy enough, and so I kind of like deleted everything. And I was like, I'm never gonna be a chef. I wasn't thinking about it like that. Um, gosh, I just had another like because I went on a tangent. I should have never done it. Don't you hate that? You're like, oh, but I
Right.
gotta add this in, but also
Yeah.
like, what was the question? I'm sorry.
Oh, no worries. No worries. But let me ask you this. What is that growing food culture right now that you're seeing right now here in the low country?
Everybody trying to make shrimp and grits. I mean, seriously, it's really, really just southern down here. It's really just southern. I do see like some like West African flavors breaking out. Some like Hispanic, and even like Asian too. I've seen Asian restaurants open. I appreciate those. But everything else, because I follow like was it Post in Korea, they do like a Wednesday food thing, and so I'll get it in the email. And I look at a lot of the places, and a lot of it's like American food, you know, re-envisioned. But a lot of the menus are really just basic. I think food should tell a story, you know, like I really do, it should tell a story, even if it's like your own story. Like when you eat it, you think of something, a moment of, you know, that made you feel good. Yeah, and a lot of stuff I see, I'm just really not, I'm inspired mostly by like the folks who ain't got brick and mortars. You know, people the chefs who are on Instagram doing pop-ups and festivals and food trucks. Like those are the people who are really like kicking ass. And I'm really inspired by them.
Okay. Which food that you cook describes you?
I would have to say more on the Caribbean, so Afro Caribbean, you know, like, you know, just Caribbean, very, very just island inspired. Yeah.
Wow.
It always has like when I'm just thinking about when I'm cooking, like the things that I'm always using and where that, you know, relates to and connects to it. I'm like, yeah, green seasoning, you know, I use that before I cook a lot of my meals. And so that's a thing. It's like a ritual, you know?
Okay.
Yeah, I would have to say that Caribbean and Southern, you know, Southern African American food, Black food, you know, but always spicy, always spicy.
Absolutely. So, who are you in the kitchen?
Who am I in the kitchen?
Yes,
I am an artist. I'm also like a child. No, seriously, you know, like I have a toddler, but I'm also thinking about when he was a little bit even younger. Well, actually, he's a preschooler now. He's not even a toddler anymore. But when he was a toddler, I'm thinking about like in his play kitchen and how he would like just, well, you know, just be in his own world, in his own space, and just having a good old time, creating. And that's how I feel too. So like when I saw him, I'm like, yeah, I get it, man. Like I truly do. I get it. Like talking to yourself, you're like, yeah, you know, going through that. I mean, you know, everybody. If you don't talk to yourself, then I don't want to be your friend. To be honest. Cause like, what you mean you don't talk to yourself? You have meetings with yourself to like delegate and, you know, figure things out. Sometimes you gotta say it out loud.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like that's who I am. I'm literally like I said, like a kid in the kitchen. Because it allows me to be creative, and experimental. You know, like how kids are when they're playing in the play kitchen. So that's really how I feel. And honestly, I feel good. I feel like I'm on fire. Like this is my element. No matter how many scratches, scrapes, burns, cuts, it's like it keeps calling back. My hands are jacked up, and I'm like, I ain't a chef, but I'm a chef. Like I might not have gotten my, you know, certification from this culinary school yet, but it's coming.
It's coming.
Yeah, I definitely have taken beating, man. I got like bruises, burns, terrible. Like, yes.
Yikes. Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like again, like I'm in my space. Like I can do it still. Like it doesn't.
Yes, ma'am.
But those are lessons that allow me to just be more aware, pay more attention, slow down, and so yeah.
And speaking of the kitchen, Miss Takeya, what else do you want to create next when it comes to food?
I would like to create a system. I have a nonprofit that I founded, and again, I remember I said I love food and I want to do food, but I'm always like in a service mindset. Like, how can I serve the greater community, my community? And so my big project, perhaps I'll say, is that I would like to prepare meals. Or actually, let me take it even further. That's just the beginning. Let me take you to the end, right? So you can see the whole picture. I would like to create a system where of chefs and like farmers prioritizing BIPOC and the queer community, marginalized communities, disabled communities. I want to create a network to connect chefs and farmers together who want to be a part of this project, to provide food, so meals for social justice and civil rights groups and organizations. You know how they host, their monthly meetings, perhaps, or when they organize.
Sure.
And food is always a cost, like how we got to feed people, and so I would love to fundraise money to be able to provide funds to, chefs and farmers. They connect and provide meals, or even restaurants who are down with cause, to be able to provide meals for these organizations, these organizers rather, but always again prioritizing Black and brown chefs, queer chefs, disabled chefs, all of the marginalized groups of folks. I would like all over the country, like all 50 states. I would like this kind of like program to be, but I'm gonna start it here in South Carolina for sure.
Oh, absolutely. That's going to be very, very amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, culinary professional Takeya Meggett, thank you so much for your time. And again, welcome to Quintin's Close-Ups.
Thank you so much, sir. It was a pleasure. Thank you.
Likewise.